Hello everyone, I'm Harvey and welcome to a new video on my YouTube channel. As you can see, I finished 4th overall and 1st in England in the 2021 season in FPL, and I would like to share some tips and tricks to help you along your FPL journey. Let's dive straight into it. Okay, let's start with the goalkeepers. So the two goalkeepers that I have selected so far are Henderson from Crystal Palace and Bentley from Wolves. The reason I've chosen these two as a pairing is because Henderson is a reliable starter after being awarded the #1 shirt after Sam Johnston, the backup keeper for Crystal Palace, has announced that he's leaving the club and he's forcing a move out of Crystal Palace, so that makes Henderson's spot quite secure. You can go for a 4 million Crystal Palace goalkeeper Matthews instead of Bentley if you really want to, just to back up the situation where Henderson might be injured. And you'll find that Bentley's fixtures for Wolves, even though he's not a starting keeper for Wolves, are actually quite good in terms of rotation with Crystal Palace's. So he's just a backup keeper for now, and if he takes the #1 spot off Jose Sarr, the #1 keeper for Wolves, then we're laughing. But yeah, for now he's just a placeholder, just to save a bit of money to spread around the rest of the team. Now moving on to the defenders, as you can see I've gone for one premium with Trent. I just think that he's going to explode this season, and under Arne Slot last season at Feyenoord, there was this right back called Geertruida, and he popped up with loads of goals and assists, and no disrespect to him, but he's not the greatest footballer in the world. So I think with Trent and his gifted ability on the ball, I just think that he's going to pop up in the right areas and be one of the best defenders for this season. Also I've gone for Barco, 4 million. You can't really go wrong at this price point. He offers lots of routes to points. He's even taken set pieces during the friendlies in pre-season. So I just think he's a no-brainer. I understand that Estupiñán will come back at some point, but that's not until game week 5 or 6 in some people's estimations. So yeah, definitely a no-brainer, I think. And there aren't many £4 million defenders that offer that many routes to points. So yeah, he's in there. And I've also gone for Pedro Porro. He's on most set pieces still, even though Maddison's back into the Spurs team. And yeah, again, he's just got multiple routes to points. Obviously 5.5 isn't cheap, but it's 0.5 cheaper than a Gvardiol or a Gabriel, or just a slice of that Arsenal defence. So I've gone for Pedro Porro just because of the Leicester fixture, and also he plays Everton in game week 2. So I can see him getting a double-digit haul in either one of those fixtures. And moving on to Mykolenko, he's just a placeholder really. He's the cheapest way into that Everton defence that kept so many clean sheets last season. I believe Pickford was second on the Golden Glove. So yeah, I believe that he's underpriced this season. He should have been at least 5 because as you can see, Tarkowski and Branthwaite are both 5. So yeah, I see Mykolenko a cheap way into their defence, and he actually rotates really well, as I'll show you in a minute. And the last defender is Robinson. Actually a differential, still underneath 10% ownership at the moment, at the time of recording. But yeah, in pre-season he's already got 2 assists, and form is likely to continue into the season because Fulham have a great fixture tracker for the first 6 fixtures. So yeah, they're definitely one to target Fulham, and in particular Robinson, because he bombs down that left flank and supplies beautiful crosses into the attacking areas. So yeah, I can see Robinson being a great rotation with Mykolenko. Now, progressing on to the midfielders, as you can see I've gone for Eberici Eze from Crystal Palace. He's just a talisman for Palace. The only situation where I might move him on to someone else before the season starts is when the rumours start picking up again for him moving to Man City or another club like Spurs, or just any other club that's obviously not Crystal Palace, because obviously that's just a transfer waiting to happen really, because I can't see him being on penalties and free kicks in another team. So yeah, he's in there for now, as long as he stays at Palace. He's just brilliant. He has multiple routes to points, and for 7 million you can't really go wrong. I think he's underpriced this season. And yeah, if we move on to Nkunku, again, really underpriced. He came in last season at 7.5 as a striker, and now he's been moved to a midfielder this season, and he's £1 million cheaper. So yeah, he had an injury-stricken season last season, but I can just see him blowing up this season. In pre-season, he's already got a couple goals as well. I think it's 3 goals, 2 of them being penalties, but obviously they're just, you have to finish them off as well as win them. So yeah, I can't see him taking penalties from Palmer, but he will still be in that attacking area. He always has a shot on goal every game, so he's threatening, and for 6.5 you can't really go wrong playing for Chelsea, that obviously are up in the air at the moment. As a Chelsea fan, it's quite frustrating, but yeah, obviously he's got lots of decent fixtures to start off with, as I'll show you in a second. But yeah, moving on, I've got Bruno Fernandes as well, also a penalty taker like Eze, and he also obviously on the free kicks as well. I can see him again blowing up the first 2 fixtures that he's got. He does play Liverpool in Gameweek 3, but that's not an issue right now. As I said, you have to focus on the present. So yeah, Bruno's in there at the moment. If I had the money, I'd probably upgrade to Saka, but yeah, as you'll see with this draft, it's just not possible. But yeah, I expect him to. He's always been consistent at Man United, despite the team as a whole being inconsistent. So yeah, he's a placeholder at the moment, but yeah, I can see him blowing up in the first 2 game weeks. And 4th on the list is Diogo Jota. He's actually a recent addition to my draft. It can be quite reactionary, because obviously in the pre-season friendly that Liverpool had on Saturday, he scored a goal and got an assist. Actually played number 9 as well in that fixture. But I think he has a high ceiling and a higher ceiling compared to Gordon or anyone in that price bracket. So he is just covering Salah for me, as again, I can't afford a premium midfielder like Salah. So yeah, I believe he will start against Ipswich away, and he's just so clinical in front of goal. So I think, again, you can't really go wrong with Diogo Jota out of position as a midfielder. And lastly, I've got Smith Rowe. He's impressed in the two games that he's played with Fulham in pre-season. He's got 2 goals in those 2 games as well. He's actually taken Andreas Pereira's spot in the central attacking mid role. So he's obviously more advanced than Pereira. Although Pereira might be on penalties, but again, he's rumoured to have a move away. So I think Smith Rowe, Fulham's record signing, I can't really see this going wrong, unless he obviously picks up an injury, because he has had an injury-prone career so far. But when he does turn it on, he is a brilliant footballer. And yeah, again, Fulham's fixtures are just sublime at the start of the season. So yeah, I can't really see this going wrong. Famous last words, but yeah, that's my midfield 5. And moving on to the final 3 forwards, as you can see, I've gone for the big man, Erling Haaland. I don't think that you can go without him this season, even though he's got a 1 million price increase from last season. He's just so clinical in front of goal. He's on penalties, and there's no real rotation risk now that Alvarez has left the club. He's gone to Atletico Madrid. So yeah, his spot is always secured in my eyes, and especially that Ipswich at home Game Week 2 fixture. If you go without Haaland for Game Week 1, you're ready to shoot yourself in the foot really for Game Week 2 if he blows up. So yeah, obviously he's the captain choice for Game Week 2 as well. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but yeah, in terms of my planning, he is the planned captain for Game Week 2, and he's just so good in front of goal. So I think he's a no-brainer this season. I tried to squeeze Salah in to the midfield, but as I said previously, I just don't have the budget. And I believe that if you go for Haaland and Salah in the same draft, it just hinders your team so much. So yeah, I've gone for Haaland in this one. And moving on to Solanke, he's obviously a new signing for Spurs. I just think that he fits Angie's team so perfectly. He presses from the front, he gets into goal scoring opportunities, and obviously he takes them as well, as he did for Bournemouth last season. He actually recorded 19 goals last season and a couple of assists. So yeah, he's just a talisman, and I can only see his season improving under Spurs. So yeah, with the quality behind him, that's Son, Maddison, Johnson, Kulusevski, whoever's behind him is much better than that Bournemouth side from last season. So yeah, I can see him getting more than 19 goals this season, and possibly the opportunities for pens because Heung-min Son is actually quite a generous player, so I could see him taking pens from Son. But yeah, that's one to note and keep an eye on. But yeah, he's in there for now, and I think 7.5 is again quite underpriced for what he can offer. And Isak is arguably the most essential player this season for FPL. I just think that he's going to absolutely hit it off from the start. And yeah, I can only see the Southampton fixture being a goal fest, because actually Russell Martin's style of play for Southampton is that they're just going attacking no matter what the score is. Basically, in every single minute of the game, they're just going to aim to attack the goal rather than passing backwards or being negative. So I can only see that going positively for Newcastle, and that's why I regret not having Gordon in my draft. But maybe you can replace Jota with Gordon if you feel that's a better choice. But I just think there's a higher ceiling for Jota this season. But yeah, anyway, I'm diversing from Isak. Isak is obviously on penalties. He did miss one in pre-season, but I still think that he'll hold on to them. But yeah, he's just got everything as a football player. He can dribble, he can shoot, obviously registering 20 plus goals last season in the Prem, despite only playing 2,200 minutes as well, which is actually less than Haaland and Solanke and the likes that play injury-free seasons. So yeah, I can just see him blowing up the season as well, and 8.5 is just too cheap for him. And now moving on to the final team. As you can see, it lines up like this. I've currently got Diogo Jota as vice captain and Isak as captain, purely because that Southampton at home fixture just seems like there's going to be lots of goals, and obviously Isak's central to that. And as you can see, I've put Nkunku in instead of Smith Rowe at the moment, just because I see City having a weekend line-up, because Rodri's only just returned to training, and he's the centre of Man City. So yeah, I can see Nkunku scoring or assisting in this game, and possibly being amongst the goal contributions. So yeah, I just see him as a better option than Smith Rowe. Moving on to the fixture ticker, as you can see, the goalkeepers alternate really well. Every time Henderson has a good fixture, Bentley doesn't. And I believe Jose Sarr, the #1 keeper for Wolves, is linked to moves away. So yeah, great pairing, those two. The defenders alternate really well. There's only 2 red fixtures in a certain game week across the first 6 or 7 fixtures. So yeah, they alternate really well, as you can see. The midfielders, the only problematic game week is game week 3, but I'm fine with playing Jota against Man United away and Eze away at Chelsea because they leak goals. And as you can see, the forwards are nailed and have great fixtures up until game week 3 or 4, which is when I might bring in Watkins when his fixture run turns good. So yeah, that's the team really. Thank you for watching this episode. If you could please like, subscribe and comment on what I should do next, that would be great. See you in the next one.